What is up, guys? Talkin with Tonka, episode 12. This week, we have a special guest, one of my buddies, Ryan Michael, a.k.a. DJ Scooter. What up, man?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a long time coming. I've been wanting to have you on for a minute. He is one of the guests that knows where I live, so finding my house wasn't an issue for you.
No, well, not the location, but the physical driving part of it is always treacherous.
Yeah.
Yes.
How was your day so far? I know you've been getting over a cold.
It was the flu, so it's the last few days have been rocky. Just man, I don't know. The doctor told me that, did the whole COVID testing and it wasn't that. So he was like, man, there's something going around, and it knocked me on my butt for sure.
Yeah.
This weekend. On my birthday too, I got so sick. I was like, man, this is the lamest birthday ever I can ever remember.
I was sick during Christmas, so I couldn't see my family or anything during Christmas. So imagine that. You know what I mean? If I was like is Christmas a big gathering for your family?
Yeah, I don't have a gigantic family. They're all in central Pennsylvania. So I think it's usually just me, my parents, my aunt and uncle, and my two cousins, and then my brother and his partner. So it's not gigantic. It's like 15 people. Maybe we invite a friend that's up there maybe sometimes some years, or another couple. But
so imagine that. At least you were sick on your birthday. We don't really see anybody really, probably, right?
My phone was blowing up, and it was so bad. I just continued to feel worse with every text. Like everyone was just like so jovial and happy. Like,
yeah, you didn't respond to me at all.
I was already like, okay, I chose to work at Barstool on my birthday, and people were like, "You chose to work on your birthday," but there was a lot of people that told me once they knew that I announced on my Instagram that I wasn't playing there anymore, or some of the staff there. Then all of a sudden people are like, oh, we weren't going to tell you. We were going to surprise you. Like all these people that like friends, like mutual people were like, we were going to come out and say hi. Staff was like, oh, sorry. And I was like, man, this is making it worse. Like,
did they get you a cake, I wonder?
I don't know. It's just, I was having FOMO for myself.
Yeah. So, when's the next time you're there at Barstool?
Ooh, man, I think it's 2 weeks, maybe.
Oh, maybe if they had a cake, they put it in the freezer and then they could give it to you when you come back.
One of those ice cream cakes from Dairy Queen or something.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite dessert for your birthday that you like?
Yes, and it's very juvenile. But so when we grow up, because we're old, that ice cream cake fad, I think, became in like the I'd say probably late 90s. I kind of remember like around the 2000s. But it was only at that point, all they had was the buttercream icing, which is just, for those of you that don't know, it's just the standard cake ice cream you probably grew up on. It's like sugary, and like it doesn't have that fluffy texture. It's like, and I love that. I think it's just because like vanilla or chocolate cake with that icing reminds me of childhood, and I have a sweet tooth because I grew up in Hershey. So that's my favorite. Like either that or like the cupcake. Walmart still uses that icing.
I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Or Acme, you can get it at Acme or Carnes, but you have to. It's labeled. It says buttercream, not whipped. It says that's the two. This is like skinny fat kid talking. Right now. I don't know why. I'm so deep into cake discussion, but
no, that's fine. Yeah, because my mom used to make me a chocolate cake, vanilla icing, and like those sprinkle things, and I was like that every birthday.
Yeah, so my parents will get me like a sheet cake that like I'm 12, again. So that, or cupcakes or something. Like the neighbors brought over a couple cupcakes.
Yeah.
Like that, and dropped off Gatorade, and
Gatorade.
They dropped off.
You're talking about when you were sick for your birthday. They dropped.
Yeah,
off
that
Gatorade.
that night they dropped off these popsicles that are like strawberry, but they're frozen, so they're like made in like a the shape of like a standard popsicle, but like the wide ones, kind of like the old Disney ones used to be. Like they're wider and they're not the skinny ones. But and they were like, these are addicting. Like our kids love these, but they're like fruit. They're not. Yeah. They're not all sugar like most of the other ones. So, yeah, I've been eating those and soup and yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you're back on track, man. Well, almost. You got you got a lot of gigs this weekend coming up.
I'm in Cleveland this weekend, which is so that company out there. It's Barley House, and they have a space called Lost now that's next door, which is like a very high end kind of grown and sexy cocktail vibe, but with bottle service, low ceiling. It kind of has like a parlay for Philly
folks.
Yeah, for Philly folks, like Jersey folks. Like it's not. It has, as far as the low ceilings and the lighting, they have kind of like running things like hidden behind the ceiling tiles in the ceiling, but it's more. You're not going to go there and get a Bud Light.
Oh,
everything
gotcha.
there is very like cultivated. Like their drinks are like high end cocktail making. So you're not like you don't walk up to the bar and like their margaritas is like it's a show. Like they make it in front of you.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Like, yeah. So like that's the difference between the Barley House is more like a bar stool during the day, and then at night it turns into the full bottle service, like nightclubby vibe. Like, you know, they have a gigantic LED screen. They have the sparklers. They have CO2. They have confetti. They have a full tech light guide. Like it changes at night. So it's like two different experiences, but it's all in the same company. And that company owns a lot of restaurants in Cleveland, and they've been booking me since probably like 2008, I think, maybe.
Oh, wow.
7. It was probably the year before LeBron left. I remember they started booking me. So like I don't know what year, when he before.
So you're at Cleveland all weekend.
Yep, Friday, Saturday.
So that's usually how that goes. You're booked every. If you play there, you're booked Friday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
I mean for the summer that's going to have to change because I have shore gigs, but they did express interest a couple months ago about starting to make it a monthly thing, which I was absolutely okay with. I don't know. It's just comfortable that those guys that run that operation. Shout out to Evie, Chris, and those guys out there that manage some of those spots. They're just hospitality people. I don't know how to explain it. I've just known them a while, and it's just easy. They're like, you can go get a free meal when you're out there, like at their spots. Like go get, it's just like it's like clockwork.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's what's up.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you like traveling to DJ?
I do, but I don't think that I could do it every weekend. Like if
kind of how Nine's doing right now.
Yeah, man. I think to be honest, the thing that most people, it looks great. And I'm not saying it isn't. When you do the actual work that you're supposed to be doing, it's amazing. But the stuff that people don't see is if you're getting booked by these places, a lot of times they're trying to save all the money they can on your flights. So they're giving you like the first flight out because it's the cheapest.
Yeah.
And so you're playing until 2-3 in the morning, and then they're like, okay, like
see you later.
They're like, you're on the 6:30 a.m. flight out back to Philly, and like that's just brutal on your body, and so you end up losing a lot of like precious body time and health things. If you're doing it all the time, like it can catch up to you, and it sounds stupid, but if you do a couple weekends in a row, or you have a few things scattered in between, you feel like you're home. You dump your luggage off, and you're like, okay, I got to do this laundry, pay my bills, like run to the grocery store, and then you feel like you're right back on the road, and that mentally, I think that's the part that people don't see, and it looks all glamorous. And I'm not saying it's not fun sometimes, but it's definitely taxing if you need to take care of yourself. I always load up on like the vitamin C pills, airborne, whatever, because you're always around all those people that are germy on flights, and probably why I got sick. So.
Yeah. Do you have any worse flight stories? Like you got like stuck next to somebody or something like that?
A lot.
Yeah. All right. So your top one, if you could think of one that comes to your head.
Oh man. Okay. So which one do you want? So I have one that was personally very traumatizing for me, and then I have one that was just more like funny anecdotal, like that something that I would witness right next to me. So which one do you want?
Oh man, I want both.
Okay.
I can't choose.
Okay, so this I'll do mine first because it's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
So recently, within the last year, actually, I don't remember where I was flying to, but I was sleeping in row like 10 or something like that, and I was dead asleep, like nothing was wrong, and I was awoken from my sleep by my own body, and I felt nauseous for some reason. And I was like, whoa, like, number one, when you wake up from a plane sleep, like, plane sleep sucks. So
Yeah.
it's not very good. So when you wake up, you're kind of disoriented, but when you wake up, you're like gathering yourself. And I was like, I kind of feel weird, like lightheaded. And I noticed the feeling because I had passed out a few times in my life many years ago. So I kind of felt like, oh, this is odd. Like, it's sort of like a brownout starting to happen. And I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I couldn't stop it. So I like had the water in front of me. I was drinking it, and I like turned the air on, and I was just sitting there in my mind, and all that's going through my head is like, please don't pass out. Why are you sick? Like, you just like start getting you freak yourself out even more because you're in a plane, you're not close to landing. And like, what ended up happening is I couldn't stop it. I got really sick for some reason and like lightheaded, and I kind of lost semi-consciousness for a little bit, like a few seconds, and I started sweating profusely. And there was a couple to my left, and I tapped the lady and I said, like, I need to get up. Like, I was gonna go to the bathroom and just try to like splash some water in my face or whatever.
Yeah, gather yourself. Yeah.
So the flight attendants freaked out. They went into the full, like, whatever their policy is mode, and they went on the loudspeaker and announced, like, is there any medical, it was a huge plane, so is there any medical staff, nurses, doctors on board? There was a actual physician, a guy on board, and so they switched seats with me and emptied the row and had the physician come over and sit with me and like check my vitals. They had like a pulsometer on board, which is like the thing you put in your finger, checks your heart rate.
Yeah.
It was scary, and so he was just like trying to talk to me, like, "What are you feeling?" Da da da, and like, did you like they asked, like, "Did you eat?" Like, and I did. I had eaten before I got on the flight, and I don't know, man. It was weird. I don't know if it was just again like being exhausted from traveling, but it freaked me out. And like, as soon as I got off the flight, they had medical staff there like waiting. They did all the vitals, and they asked to go to the hospital. It was really scary and also like very embarrassing because like the whole flight looks at you, and like if you're a passenger and you see something happening, it's very like out of your control, and like you don't know what's happening, and you can't go anywhere to like shield yourself. So yeah. I was embarrassed. Like it was terrible. But I don't know. They just said like, yeah, everything's checked out, like your heart rate, like they did all these tests, and they're like, you're not outside of the norm. Like, so they gave me the option if I wanted to go to the hospital, and I got off, and I just was like declined and just tried. I went immediately to the Airbnb and passed out, and I felt better then. But
I've gotten like that sometimes. Like I flew to Vegas. Was it right after COVID that the Eagles played the Raiders? I think it was like right before COVID they played them in 2019, I think. And I went, and then I didn't sleep. I just went right on their plane and right out there.
That's the worst. Dude, I learned my lesson because this is the second time this happened to me in like 10 years.
Yeah, so I flew there. Halfway there, I got nauseous, and I was like, because I get airsick once in a while, but nothing like too crazy. And I usually take Dramamine, good, you know what I mean? And I get there, I'm nauseous, and like me and Direct went to go get food, and I thought that would make me feel better. It didn't. It made me feel worse. So when I got back to his crib, I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go lay down for a little bit. And I was like, wake me up before you go to your gig. And thankfully, like he plays Dre's after hours, so he doesn't start till like 2 a.m. So like I slept for like 9 hours. And I felt immediately better. So it was like kind of probably like my body was like, hey, you need to get some sleep.
Yeah, and I think that they had said that we had gone through some turbulence while I was probably sleeping, and my body probably like didn't, like
disoriented it a little bit.
Yeah, consciously or subconsciously, like I'm sleeping, so I don't know, but it might have like made me sort of like plain motion sick, which I don't get. I fly all the time, so that's not something that happens, but maybe it just shook me, and I just woke up because it was like, you're sick.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to hear the other one.
Yeah, I'll hear the funny one now.
Yeah, so this was also this past year too. So I'm on third row of the flight.
Damn, first class, my bad.
We get on. No, it was like a smaller flight. It was only 2 seats on either side. So
okay.
It was one of I guess it's business, I guess they considered it. But this guy gets on late. Like everyone's almost in their seats, and like this older gentleman gets on late, and he has a little metal box. And to me it looked like an oxygenator, like it had one of those clear tubes wrapped around it. To me, like he was, I would say probably like in 70s. So I thought maybe it was just a medical device, but it was just odd. It was an odd, like it almost looked like a lunch pail or like fishing tackle box. Yeah. It was weird. And so he got on, and he was like goes to a seat, and they're instructing like, "Sir, you have to put that up in your overhead." And he was just, and he immediately replied like, "You took my bag. You took my bag." Like, and started yelling like, "You charged me $50." Da 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 da. And I don't think he realized like that he didn't pay for his bag ahead of time. That if he brought it to the gate and didn't check it, so they just charged him at the gate, and they took his roll on and checked it. But he didn't understand that. I don't know where he's from. Maybe Romanian or very like European, like Italy. It was like hard to detect the accent, but
yeah.
So there was a little bit of a language barrier, but he just was like, "I called the FBI. I called the FBI." And he was screaming it, and they're like, "Sir, you have to like calm down." Da da da. And then like this proceeded for like 10 minutes, so he's holding up us departing, and so the flight attendants were trying to talk him down, and they ended up calling on like a security officer to try to like help calm him down. Like, "Sir, you have to sit down." Da da da. And he was just so stuck on this dang piece of luggage. And so there's a very obviously large, outspoken guy in the back behind him, a couple seats, and two girls sitting in front who were obviously traveling together. And the guy in the back, or the two girls are like, the one girl makes a comment that's very like disrespectful. I forget what it was. Something like, "Man, I wish you would just sit down," or some stuff. Yeah. It was very poignant to be out loud. So everyone heard it on the plane, and like there's three people trying to get this guy to sit down. This dude in the back is like, "I know you're not talking." Like, replies to this girl that's sitting in front. Yeah. So now they're sitting 5 rows apart. He's in between with two flight attendants and a security guard. I'm sitting directly across the row from him, and this elderly lady sitting to my left. I'm on the window seat. And so we're looking at each other, and she's like, "Oh dear Lord!" Like she's just out here like praying and stuff. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this poor woman is like, she's like, "Oh Jesus!" Like she's just talking to me, like making these little comments to me, and I'm laughing. And then there's these people like Maury Povich, like back there screaming at each other, like, "Oh, I know you're not talking them ugly ass flip flops on." And so they're like starting to get personal insults to each other.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm like, "Oh Jesus!" So this dude sits down in the middle of the damn aisle.
Man!
And he's still arguing with them. So now there's like peace officers on the plane.
Oh snap!
They brought 2 cops. So they're standing there, and they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to evacuate this plane.
Oh, my God.
Please grab your belongings." And so they evacuate us, first 3 rows, because after him, he was in 4. So we all get off, and we're just sitting there at the terminal, like chilling. And we're like, "There's nobody else getting off the plane?" Like, I thought they're evacuating the plane. And we have no answer. So there's this one person that comes out with a walkie-talkie, and they're like, "He's refusing to move, so no one else can off the plane." So we sat there for like 45 minutes, and they finally, I swear to God, this is the funniest shit in my entire life. After like no answers from us, this motherfucker comes out, zooming on a scooter out of the freaking terminal like door, like, and just like slides out. Behind him in tow is like 5 cops, like 3 people from the airline, and they're like, "Sir, slow down, slow. No, you can't go there." He like zooms out and goes into the middle of like the terminal like walkway and does like a 360. They're chasing him like, "Sir, stop. Like it's like a freaking circus." And they're like trying to grab the handlebar of the scooter that they put him on to get him out.
Oh my God.
And I was like, did that just happen? Like he went zooming up, and they're like in tow, like running after this guy. I was like, this is not real life. We got on the plane and left. Like
I feel like it's something you would see on like TMZ.
I wish
like...
I recorded it, because I was like, no one's gonna ever believe this story.
Yeah, that's like a TikTok story.
No, I wish, dude. I wish I had it, because I was just chilling, like looking at my phone, and this dude comes out zooming like
viral video.
Oh,
you missed a chance. You missed your opportunity.
He was just like bear down with the handlebars and everything. Like he was just like flying out of the door. I'm like, wow, like.
I don't think I've ever had anything cool happen to me on a plane. Like it's always been like, like normal stuff.
Well, Smooth told us a couple weeks ago that guy like pretty much legally died, and then like they revived him.
Yeah. I remember that.
That's scary, because the protocol for when like someone's having a medical emergency is always to just try to find the closest airport. Like if there's something really serious, like obviously if there's someone medical on board, they have, some of the planes have like those paddles and stuff, but some don't. So like they will just be like, okay, if we have to land a plane, because that was one time when I was going through they asked me like, would you like us to get you to a medical facility? And so the lady explained to me like they would just try to find the closest.
Oh my God!
Airport that they were.
So how does that work for everybody else on the plane though? Like, oh, you just gotta wait. Yeah. I don't care if you have anywhere to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do in that situation, but
all right. Well, thank you for those stories. That's incredible. So let's switch gears a little bit here. So let's tell everybody about young Ryan Michael Willard. So like, were you always into music?
Always into music. Not always into like diddling with it, I guess.
Yeah,
it's like
diddling.
I just wanted to use that word.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a household where my parents were I just kind of remember very eclectic musically. Like I know that we had like Stevie Wonder vinyl, and I know that we had like country vinyl, and I know that we had like disco stuff. Like just going through the records at my parents' house, like I remember growing up, and we did have a record player that I tried to mess with like when I was in my adolescence, but nothing seriously. And it was just kind of like my parents got a home PC. It was like Windows 95 or 8. And it had a Windows Wave editor on it. So I started like once I discovered that by accident. It was right next to Solitaire.
Yeah.
They all came with those same exact games.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you can like
Minesweeper.
Yeah, you can put audio in here. And so I was downloading stuff from like Napster and like throwing it in there, and it was only single track, so it was just like cut, copy, paste. But when I realized that you could record into it, I was taking the DJ crap that I had bought when I was like 15, which was literally like Radio Shack equipment. And I was doing like $50 parties for classmates in middle school, like because we'd go to parties, and at that age, like nobody was DJing. Like, no, we knew, but like some of the parents had 3 disc changers or 5 disc changers. Like that was like a very new thing. And like when I grew up in Hershey, it was a very like middle class area, but because the Hershey Medical Center is there, it definitely had a lot of people who had parents that were well off, because those jobs, obviously, like surgeons and anyone in the medical field, like, those salaries were pretty good, and it's a huge hospital. So it was a wide range of kids I went to school with. Like, we were very like middle class. There was definitely like people that were family struggling, and then we also had people that were not struggling at all. Like, the kids that got a brand new car at 16. This one girl I went to school with, she wrecked her car the first week she had it at 16. On a Friday, she drove back into school on Monday with the brand new car in 2 days' time, like brand new. She wrecked it, totaled it, and it's just like a discrepancy. You know what I mean? So we'd go to these parties, and like just people would throw in those little CD booklets we would carry around with us, and like we just hear the same songs all freaking night, like And I just was like, man, like, am I the only one noticing that we heard this Limp Bizkit CD 3 times tonight, or the same Jay-Z or Christina Aguilera or whatever it was? So I was like, I just bought 2 Walkman and a Radio Shack mixer. And then eventually I got this thing. My parents, I think, might have got it from like my 15th or 16th birthday. It was called Gemini Disco Mix. And I bought a turntable belt driven from Radio Shack Newmark. So I had like this weird combo of like CDs, and then I was buying vinyl too. It was like a weird hodgepodge, but that's kind of how I started screwing around with music to begin with.
So how old were you?
15, 16.
Yeah. So that's how DJ Scooter was born.
Yeah. Well, at first I went by, so everyone, I had my last name's Willard, so my nickname was Willie. And around that time, if you remember, Will Smith had an album called Big Willie Style.
Yeah.
Spelled it different.
Yeah.
I was spelling it Willy. His was Illie.
Yeah.
So I got the nickname Willie because of my last name for baseball and ice hockey. So I went with that, but then I realized soon after, because of the internet, that there was a reggaeton DJ Willie at the time, and I switched. Well, I obviously didn't want to keep that, but it wasn't until I graduated high school. I did like 2 years of that, Was doing like school dances eventually and some private stuff. And then I started interning at a radio station at 19, and it was a local college, and I got hired by the radio station, but they were like, they put me on the air, which is weird for someone only working at a radio station for 3 months, but they needed like a sidekick role for the morning shows. They had a girl, a flamboyant gay guy as the main host, and they were like, we need a third person. And like, I was starting to do promo as an intern. I was doing like all these positions, and like some of the guys that worked in the rock station and some guys that had been in the market and for Harrisburg, they were like legends. Like they all worked in the same building. It was a 4-station cluster. So they took me under their wing, or I'd get little bits and pieces. Like they would put me in a studio, show me the production studio. Like, how do you make a commercial? One guy did that. And then I remember the one guy gave me the fucking newspaper and was like, this is your homework. I want you to go home and read the newspaper out loud and work on your enunciation, like work on your diction. I was like, what is diction? Like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. He's like, you need to work on your diction, like you mumble and stuff. I was like, okay. So I was like, thanks. So thanks. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm an intern, not getting paid shit. Like, you know, it's like I'm making like minimum wage. And but the dude who was on the radio station it was a hip hop station, I guess you would consider it. Actually, Rhythmic was the proper title at the time. So it was like, you know, like the JoJo's and the man, I'm trying to think. We used to play like, you know, Chingy and like that era of music was kind of at the time.
It's like 2002.
Yeah, it was like pop hip hop.
Yeah.
So it was split the difference, and so he was like, "You want to learn how to do radio? Like, if you were serious, like, come in on Monday." We did an event together. It was a concert, which I thought was cool as shit. Like, I got to go to concerts and like wear the radio station T-shirt and hand out free CDs.
Yeah.
And I got like, just to be tied to a radio station was like, for me, the coolest thing ever at the time. Like, I'm like, this is so cool. And then he was like, "Art, we did an event," and he was like, "You're serious? Like, come in on Monday." I was like, okay. Like, and I was in class like 3 or 4 days a week. So I was like, "What time?" He was like, 4:30 a.m. I was like, "What?" I was like, no, he goes 4:30. I go, "a.m." That's how I answered. I was like, because the show was 6 to 10. So I was like, why so early? He's like, "We got to do show prep." I was like, "You want to learn? This is how you're going to learn." And I was like, okay. Dude, I barely made it there. I think I probably showed up at like 4:28 or some shit like that. And it was still black outside. Like, it was dark. And I was like, man, I don't even get up this early to go hunting. Like, Jesus. Like, the freaking bugs aren't even awake. And shit. So it was like quiet. And I was like, this is weird. So, but I went in, you go in there, and they like they threw me on the air. So they would just be like, okay, like, it was just like this. Like, I'd face him. There was glass between us. He was running the board. And the girl co-host would sit next to me. And they were just coaching me like, okay, like, we do show prep every day. Like, they'd print out sheets from like these companies that they'd get online, and they'd be like, here are the hot topics. This is what happened this weekend. Pop culture, news.
Wow.
Yeah, and they just ran me through the whole thing. And then I did that for months, and like 2-3 months. And they were like, you need a radio name. You can't be Intern Ryan anymore. Like, you need a radio name. We all do. Like, some people's names were just good for radio as it was, like their legal name or something close, so they used it. But he gave me homework for a couple weeks where he's like, your homework is to come in with 10 names every day.
Oh, wow.
Until we find one. So I just go home at night and just like make up names. Like, that went on for like, I'm picky because I'm creative. So like everything, I wanted it to be like, okay, I'm deciding this for my life. Like, that's kind of how my mind was. But I also was young, and like, they kind of were just like bossing me around because I'm like the little bitch of the station. Like, they're like, you need go get me coffee. I'd go get it. You have to do that shit.
Yeah, so you have to. You like earn your stripes.
Yep. So I was like, okay. Like, I was just like, this is annoying. So I just did that, and after 2 weeks, we just run through them every day, and he would bring in some names someday. And after 2 weeks, we were like, I still wasn't sold on anything, and he was like, one day, I remember this distinctly. I swear to God, for the rest of my life, like. So it's like, I don't know, maybe like 7:30 a.m. We're in a commercial break, and he's like, okay, like, what names you bring today? And so I run down my names. I'm like, I really don't like any of these. He's like, well, we got to pick one. Like, you know, it's been a couple weeks. Like, and he's like, and he's running through a couple, and he gets the scooter. I'm like, that's the best of the worst. I'm like, for me. I'm like, but I still don't like it. I'm like, table that one. I'm like, and like for now, and then and we'll figure it out. And he was just like, I could see he was like, ugh. He was just gay dude, so he was just like really flipping, like, ugh, okay. Like he just on purposely, like he's like, we gotta pick one. Like, and I was like, okay, dude, like, okay, I will, I promise. Like, and I was like, okay, in my mind, I need to go home and really figure this out. And so this dude comes out of the commercial break and he goes, hits the button. He's like, Mackenzie in the morning, Harrisburg's hottest hits is Hot 92 Harrisburg. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Scooter in the studio today. Everybody say hi to Scooter. And I'm sitting across from him and I'm air middle fingers, like double sending him double birds that nobody can, it's on the radio can hear. And I'm just steaming mad, like just like pissed. And I'm just like leaning to the mic and I'm like, hey, what's up, Harrisburg? Like, I'm just like so pissed. And he's like, so, like, what'd you think of J-Lo? Like, blah, 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 blah. He just goes on. We do this break. He intros the next song, plays it, like, turns the mics off, puts the headphone down, and he's like, well, guess we got that decided. Like, too late now. And I was like, dude. And he's like, I don't tell you, like, you're Scooter. And I was like, what the fuck? And he thought it was funny as shit. And like, but then after, what I realized is that I would just drive. The radio station was only like 5 minutes away from the campus, the community college I went to. And I noticed that I'd go to class, and after a couple weeks, like my classmates, I'd come in and they'd be like, heard you on the radio today. Like, it was weird. But it was cool, kind of like people started noticing like me, and then we do events and like people noticed me by name. Like they were like, oh, like, oh, I love you, blah, blah, blah. Like it was like that thing happened really fast. And I realized like, hey, like I don't want to have Ryan Willard. Like I don't want to have DJ Willie and then Scooter. Like it's like, dude, there's like 3 identities. Like it's ridiculous. So I was like, I'm just going to use Scooter as my DJ and radio name simultaneously and call it a rap, because I didn't want to ditch Willie anyway because of the reggaeton DJ. So that's kind of how that became, and it just made sense because I was working in market almost exclusively at that time for DJ gigs. Yeah. So I could use it as leverage to be, you know, like, oh, I work for Hot 92, like, you know, at the time, like that, and then now it's a different frequency but same name. So it just kind of organically all happened that fast, and that was probably, I think, 2002, 2003, something like that.
So we got our names around the same time.
Yeah. So at that point, it's like, all right, like there it is.
I'm trying to run with it.
Yeah, and it worked. And you know, there's people now that ask me that, and it's like this long-winded story. I wish I had like a short, concise story. Like, yeah, my parents bought me a scooter when I was young, and I really liked it.
That's what I really thought it was, because I think that's what Puff told me. Good thing when I asked.
No, and you know what's funny is that Puff's name actually. He came into the market after like 2 years that I had worked there, or a year and a half, and he came down from Buffalo. And what happened was, so Puff took my job essentially, not literally, but like the slot that we had on that, after like 2 years of doing that show, my co-host, the main guy, he took a job in Las Vegas. And that kind of was like weird because I was the young, not super experienced. So like they didn't feel like I could run the show on my own at that point, like totally exclusively.
Wow.
Like run the board. They hadn't really traded me up to that point. I probably could have, but like it's a corporate decision at that point. Like his salary is probably, I don't know what it was at the time, like probably $50,000 or something like that. I don't know, I'm guessing. But it's not like, oh, we're just going to throw in the kid. Like he'll figure it out. Like they're like, it's a marketing decision because so much advertising dollars go into the sales team selling that morning show for advertising. They're not just going to like willy-nilly throw on this young kid and just figure it out and like, well, that'll be fine. Like, so as a corporate thing, they're like, well, they wanted to put like comprise a new morning show. And I was just like happy to have done that for a couple years.
Did you get paid for that?
Yeah, I started after, I think it was like 5 months. Then I started getting paid for the radio station. Like, it was not an internship anymore. I was like 3 or 4 months. So I was paid and all that, but Puff was actually one of the people that they hired from Buffalo for the new morning show. But he came down, and I remember I was doing an event at the mall in Harrisburg, and I don't remember why, but the event we were doing, they put the new co-host up on a fireman's like lift at the mall with their, and like they were doing some sort of like dropping thing. It was massively high, like, and they were sending the new co-host up way in the air. It was some like radio back then was very like shock value stuff.
Yeah,
so they were doing all this stuff. And I remember Puff came. The first time I met him was at that mall, and he didn't have. I remember too, like there was discussions in house. I think I had suggested Puff as the name once I saw, like they had these sheets and like all these people, and they were looking to like rebrand and like give them names. Like the other guy was coming from a different market, he wanted to change his name. It's like common in radio to do that, like to get a new fresh start if you're doing a new show, to like change your radio name. So I think I had suggested Puff, or I remember being in a discussion where that in the room when that happened. And when he came, I met him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Ryan." I'm like, "I'm Ryan." So, like, "Oh, I DJ." Like, it was do we just become best friends? Like, so it was like we hit it off instantly because we started talking about DJing, and he's very jovial and easy to talk to.
Yeah,
and we were literally close right away, and like he had similar radio background. Like he was around the same age. Like did a bunch of weird shit in Buffalo with that station, which was really popular up there. You know, he did the whole like cut his teeth with DJing the same way. It was just like a easy thing. So like I didn't really mind like not. I mean, I would do radio stuff on air too, like occasionally, but I kind of just the DJ stuff started to take off, and I just was using the radio station kind of as like my place to get free vinyl, and nobody else wanted it, so it was just sitting in the freaking program director's office like stacking up. And there was like multiple copies of like 50 Cent and Olivia and like all this shit. And I was like, I'll take it. Like I just started hoarding vinyl. That stuff's expensive. Like, you know what I mean? It was like $20 a record back then for the singles, or $10.99 or some shit. Albums were like $25-$30. So I still have all that. Like,
do you really?
A lot of it. There's some stuff I got rid of, but I'm like, I feel like weird getting rid of this. Like, I still have like the Timbaland album, like Shock Value that came. I remember. I have a pressing. This is a weird one. I have a white vinyl pressing that came from the record label, Pussycat Dolls Don't Ya, but it was from a different group that they sent. So they were working that record on a different girl group at first.
Oh, really?
It came on. I have it at my house.
It's a Talkin with Tonka exclusive here.
Yeah, that record came out with a different girl group, and then a couple months later, they had Pussycat Dolls like formed an Interscope, and they came out with it. That also happened. This is a lot of stuff and I have digital copies of stuff too. But Get Right, the J-Lo single, Usher recorded that first. There's a version with Usher. It's different. It's like kind of similar.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I have.
I wonder if they're worth money.
I mean, I don't know if I have. I know I don't have all those on vinyl, but I know that I got them either in promo form at some point. But they do exist on the internet, some of these. Like, I think Usher's Ride It, you can Google it. I think that one's on YouTube. Mario, Just a Friend, Usher recorded as well. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Yeah, that exists now on the internet. So if you want to do some Talking with Tonka, Googling after this, you'll be like, whoa, like Usher on that beat?
Yeah,
like,
darn.
Yeah, there's some cool things that other people recorded that came out from other popular artists that we all know now that are first I heard as from like another artist. So yeah, it was weird.
Well, I wonder if those if you have the pressings of those records, they're worth money.
I know I have the Don't Ya one. I know I do for sure. Because
is it like wrapped up, or
it's just a plain white sleeve and white label with text, and I think it's obviously was Interscope because.
Does it say like sample, or like like you?
No, I think it might say promo or that.
Okay.
Most of the stuff you got, at least, and especially CD singles, all said promo. Like at the time, a lot of the record labels were sending out CDs with singles and versions of songs, and it said like promo use only, blah blah blah, not for resale. Like if you go on Discogs, you can buy a lot of that shit now. Like, and I still have some of the old stuff, but there's some versions of songs or instrumentals that only exist on those CDs that were sent out to radio stations. Like that are they're rare for sure. That's why like you're paying.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder if that's
$40 for like this.
If the Pussycat Dolls died in like a plane crash or something, it'd be worth money.
Nicole Scherzinger would be like,
that's crazy. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, I will send it to you, and you're gonna be like, this is.
Is it better or worse?
It's just weird because. It's just weird because you know the songs as they are now so popular. Yeah. So like to hear slightly different, like the Usher over Mario Just a Friend, the lyrics are a little different. So there's parts and you're like, your brain is like waiting for this line and then you hear something else. So it's it messes with you, but you're like, I kind of like this. Like, I don't know.
It's different.
Yeah. There also is a different version of Backstreet Boys' I Want It That Way, with slightly different lyrics that they first recorded that was sent out. It's like, I'm trying to remember how it goes. There's a certain line that really messes with me though. I feel like it's the "Ain't Nothing But a Heartache" line. I feel like in the one version it's slightly different, but the "I Want It That Way" was not how it was sung. It was a different line was sung. So your mind's like, like what? Like it's just weird, but they sang it like that. There was a different alternate lyric version that also exists now on the internet because I've seen it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I never, I mean, you hear different versions of songs now because people remake stuff and stuff like that. So I guess hearing it by different artists wouldn't be that shocking. But like a song like "Don't You only know, Busta Rhymes and the Pussycat Dolls being in that joint, right? So if you're hearing a completely different girl band and you're like, what the f is this?
So a lot of people don't know that with record labels, so they'll get like, they'll take a bunch of songwriters. They still do this now. They'll take a bunch of songwriters that are like on their payroll.
Yeah.
And they'll pay them and they'll fly them to like go to Nashville for like a week, or they'll send them somewhere. A bunch of these songwriters put them in a room and they'll sit in like a round table and they'll have like, okay, these are 30 ideas that got sent to somebody within the label, or like they'll just bring a bunch of ideas and they'll kind of work them through. And out of the weekend, they'll come away with like, okay, like we came away with 10. These are 10 songs like that we feel pretty good about. And so the label will be like, okay, who on our roster do we think fits this song? Sometimes that's how like hits get made. Like it comes out of workshop groups, and it's kind of like a way for labels to like organically from within control like songs, or like organically grow instead of like just Googling the internet for like hit artists on TikTok now, like, which is a different way to do it that didn't exist a couple years ago. But that's their way of like, okay, we need to get some hits. Like, how are we getting some hits? So they'll pay these people to go creatively, like juices flowing together, make some stuff. And then, so that's probably what happened. They probably were like, oh, we have this group on the label, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's have them record that song. And then like Pussycat Dolls got formed and they were like, no, let's put them on that now, because if they own the songwriting credits, they can do that as a label. So that actually, like, CeeLo recorded Pharrell Happy first.
Really?
Yes, and that hasn't come out. I would die to hear that, but he recorded that record first, and before Pharrell had it, and that song's ridiculously huge in 2015. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head that I can think of that.
This kind of reminds me of those things at the mall where people are like, hey, do you want to be part of a survey? And they put you in a room and they give you a topic and you got to like talk about it, or they show you a commercial. Like, what do you think about that? So it's kind of like the same thing. Like they get a group of people together and they throw a bunch of song names at them and then they see kind of like where the dust falls.
Yeah. It's just wild because there's just, I'm like, what if this song had come out? Oh, okay. So there's another one. So at the time, Timberlake and Sierra were on the same record label, same record as Chris Brown was, Pink, freaking Backstreet Boys, like Christina Aguilera, Britney. It was Zamba, Jive, which is a subsidiary of Sony, and that has absolved now all into RCA, which is still under Sony. But Timberlake, I have a version still on my computer. He first released Love, Sex, Magic. It's a solo version so Justin does first, second, verse, and choruses. Yeah. But the record came out officially then like 2 months later with Sierra on it. And they did a music video. It's freaking, they're like sexually dancing.
Yeah. I used to play that song.
Yeah. The beat slaps, like 107. I think it's a Timbaland beat, to be honest with you, which makes sense for the time period because I was right around Future Sex Love Sounds, Justin album. So that was 2007 that Sierra record came out. But I have a version that's just Justin. There's a version of Just Justin, too, that exists for Girlfriend because he created that with Pharrell.
Yeah.
There's a solo version of Justin, no NSYNC on Girlfriend.
That's insane.
Yeah, I have that. That's actually on YouTube. Someone just uploaded it like 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
I was like, damn, this is wild.
You could have been getting paid for those views, bud.
Yeah, but it's just wild just to hear.
That's cool, man.
Other artists. I'm just kind of like a nerd for that stuff.
No, we all have our things we're nerdy about. You know what I mean? So we went over how you got your name, how you got your start in radio, and now what? So you said kind of like, next to Solitaire, there was that that audio kind of mix, like cutting up version on Windows PCs. Is that where your knowledge, your kind of like spark went for like remixing songs?
Yeah, and so I was doing it really ghetto at the time. Like I was taking the DJ equipment I had, running an adapter that I also bought from Radio Shack.
Radio Shack was the place back in the day.
Yeah, there was a red, like they were color coded on the back of those PCs. Like I remember it was like red, green input, like they were quarter-inch jacks. So
yeah.
I remember like running it into those jacks, and I could get it to recognize as like an audio input into that Windows.
Yeah, green was like the microphone, and red was like audio.
Yeah, so it was only single track, and for people that don't understand what that means, it means like nowadays like everything you could stack things on top of each other, like you can do on your iPhone, like with video editing, like that concept didn't exist on those computers back then. There was programs that did it because the radio station had them, and I learned that was even possible at the radio station when they made me forcibly try to learn how to make commercials. And when I discovered that was even possible, it was after me dicking around on the home for months and months and months. Like my mind was blown. So you couldn't keep me out of the production studio. Like when there was no one using it in my free time, I was in there just dicking around with that program because I didn't own it. But then I scoured the internet and found the program and downloaded it, and I used the radio station credentials to activate it at home.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Did you get in trouble for that?
Nope.
No.
Because I think you get like
they know now.
Yeah.
It's now public knowledge.
Yeah, I think you get like 3 or 4 activations of the software back then. But
what was the first remix you made?
Oh shit. Man, I don't even know. I
don't remember your first one? You always remember your first.
No, no, I don't, because there was just so much experimenting at that time. Like I was recording at first. This is before I got the program, so I was recording from my DJ gear. Like I got like a loop CD of like drums from like the radio station that came, and I was taking songs that existed. And at the time, like on mix shows, like you can hear DJs playing the radio. They were all Funky Mix and X Mix, and I just thought that was like, number one, I'd never heard versions of those songs like that, so I was like, at the time I was like, I want to try to make that because it was cool at the time. Like I was like, oh my god, like da da da. So I was trying to imitate that structure of making songs, which is now it's like ridiculous. They had like 6-minute, 7-minute long versions of a 3-minute song.
Yeah, all
these breaks in the middle was stupid as hell. But I was like looping drums like live on the CD players and recording it in, and like there was no jog wheel, so like I was setting the pitch. It wasn't master either. There was no master pitch, so like if you sped a drum up, it would change the pitch. I was like playing it and trying to hit the stuff at the same time, and I would be like boom and like try to do it, and if it wrote off at all, I'd have to start over.
Oh snap, that's a pain.
So I'd be like record and try to nail it with the levels and everything, and like record it in, and like sit there and be like, oh, and it'd start to go off, and I'd be like, fuck, and I'd be like, so pissed. And dude, the one time I distinctly remember this like redrum thing I tried to doing it that way. I took 45 attempts.
Damn.
Because I remember like the 44, the number, and
I would have loved to have been a fly in that room.
Oh my! It was my parents' basement. No lie. So, dude, it was taxing as hell. And then once I and I remember, and I would record it, and it was probably the levels are probably so smashed because you're like stacking things on top of each other. I didn't know shit. So
yeah.
That was like the very early. I don't even know. It was just like running drum loops over songs just to give them more energy. And I'd save the files MP3 and then upload them to like DJ forums. I don't know. I remember doing like Chris Brown, Give Me That. I did this edit of I'm a Hustler. It's
Do you still have these, Jones?
Yeah. I have some of them. It's like
I would love to hear them.
What is it? It might have been. I know I did this I'm a Hustler edit, like Cassidy.
I was gonna say it's Cassidy, not 50. You said 50.
No, but it was with something. I did this like switch in the middle, and I thought it was cool. It was a great idea, like, and I was like, man, I could probably redo this. But I did like Good Life. Good Life and 50. There was all this 50 Cent. That was around that time when I was like kind of really into hip hop. I liked pop too at that time, but like that hip hop stuff was like what was the only thing I was really DJing.
Yeah. So when did you start making your own beats?
Probably. Man, it probably had to be. I wish I had. There might be timestamps on those MP3s. I'd have to look, but I don't know, man. I'd probably have to say like a year or two into that process. Once I got Cool Edit Pro, which is the name of the program, and now it's called Adobe Audition. Then that opened up my mind because you could stack things. And once I figured out like how to loop things on beat and stretch it, like that changed the game. Like once you learn how to do that, like and like I didn't even know like those sounds. The radio station had literally CD books that they'd get every month updated, and they'd be there, and they were massive CD books, like 50 pages a piece, and they were just sound effects. So I'd like go in there and like record them like entire CDs and send them to myself on email them like back to myself at home as MP3 because I didn't even know what those things were called, like whoosh noises and all that. I didn't even know what they were called. Like I didn't know how to make like reverse cymbals, and I know how to make like risers and falls, like like all those things. There's like smashes and glass breaks, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, this is how they do that. Like all those radio stations.
Yeah.
So I was like, my mind was blown. So I was just messing around like crazy with that stuff. Like it was like unlocking a new room of like your mind. Like so, I just was trying to imitate funky mix stuff at that time. Like, all that extremely long.
Like intros.
I would scratch like over stuff. Like the scratch takes took me forever. Like I'd hear it in my head and it was like baby scratches, but I'd like, oh, I wanted to like do this because like I heard a funky mix and like it sounded similar to this. Like, dude, just recording those takes over and over and over.
Yeah.
That it was just like, but completing the one was like cool as shit. Like, you know, and then I got put on, Crooklyn Clan at the time, like, after submitting some of the tracks I had made, and that kind of opened me up to like a different audience. Like that became like a global DJ audience after just giving shit away for free on like other DJ forums.
Yeah. Darn. Okay. So we talked about remix Scooter. What else? Like, so what else makes Ryan Michael tick? So like you have your creative side. What else are you doing creative wise now? I mean, I know, but the audience might not know.
Well, so before I was going to go to school I ended up going to college for music marketing. But I changed my major right before. I was going to go for art. Like I was in advanced art classes in high school.
Really?
I drew my whole life. Like my mom has photos. I used to go into her job at Hershey's, and they had a big whiteboard, and I used to draw Ninja Turtles, all of them, with the accurate colors with the dry erase markers, and like they would leave them up like on the board at work, and so I got known like for just being like drawing. I remember just being like really into drawing my whole life, and so
I don't think I've ever seen you draw anything.
Well, I just now because it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
So I like it though because I hyper focus and it calms me because I just get locked in with the pencil, and I'm just like focused on these extremely minute lines, and then like I just block the world out. So it's very calming for me. But now all the free time, like my mind kind of goes immediately to stacked up ideas that I want to get done for music. So like my mind just is like doing that. But the thing that I am able to exercise some of that creative with is, custom sneakers. So
yeah,
me painting sneakers kind of accomplishes that. Plus it also fulfills another niche with me, just like liking sneakers and, fashion or whatever. So it's just like, I kind of cover 2 or 3 bases with that. I mean, I have drawn like occasional things like as gifts for people over the years, but yeah, I'd like to get back into that. But that's kind of, art was always number one. Like, and I was into dancing a lot too, in high school and middle school. My parents used to like do what is that? Billy Ray Cyrus, Achy Breaky Heart. Remember they had a dance to that?
No.
Yeah, there's like an official line dance to that.
Country boy shit is that?
Bro, my parents were eclectic. I'm telling you, they listened to like country music in the car. They listened to everything. So like but I also used to have like Michael Jackson concert tapes I recorded, and I would rewind them over and over and over again, and like try to learn the moves when I was young.
That's what I would do too.
So I learned some of my early stuff from just Michael Jackson, and then when I was in like middle school, I got into a youth group at the church, and we would do talent shows, and I got into like doing like usher choreography and learning like in sync choreography, and I was doing it with a bunch of dudes at this camp one year, and it was like Bieber walked into the room like the first year we did it. It was like I have VHS converted DVDs of this shit to prove to people that the screaming girl level was so loud it's like pierces the microphone.
Wow.
It's like we walk on this little rickety ass wood stage at like church camp, and it's like pandemonium, like One Direction level screaming, like. And I got addicted to that real quick because I'm this like dorky little 14, 15-year-old kid that like and like just to have the attention of females when your armpits sweat when they come around you, but to be like. To have that be like something at that time, like obviously that piqued my interest. So we became known as like the dudes to do that.
I would love to see this.
I have the DVD. I have to digitize. I have it on DVD, so I have to put it on the computer. But we did that for like 4 or 5 years, and we did it at this one church camp thing that was regional at a school at a dance that we had one time. And so it was all these people from like multiple school districts that had never seen us, but a big group of the regional group knew us to do it. It was the same reaction. We did it at a dance. It was NSYNC pop, and like, dude, and we were like 3 years into it at this point. Like we were like vets, so we were like, we got this shit. Like, and we did it, and dude, like that was like for an adolescent kid who's like trying to find their way through life, like, and like puberty and like going through all that shit. Like it's such a hard time, like for adolescence. Like you just want to feel like you fit in. Like my body was growing weird. I like still have a long neck, but I was like, there was like this was too long, that was too short. Like, learning how to talk to girls. Like it was a weird time, but doing something like that, like really like was a confidence booster.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So it was a good time. And that really like just kind of, it all fit in with what I was already interested in, like music. Like, yeah, I already liked music as it was, but just to have that all happen, and I then started being able good enough to like, I was making all the special edits that we were using to do the dances. So like you couldn't hear those dance edits anywhere but us. Like,
oh snap!
So I was like watching tour tape of them or something, and be like, oh, like let's combine like first half of like the Tearing Up My Heart from like the VMAs, and then we'll go into like the tour version they use of this song that they. So like it was like literally like you couldn't get that shit, and people were like, what the is this?
Yeah, where is this? Yeah, where'd you get this?
Yeah, so
that's what's up. That's kind of like when I started, when I was like a senior in high school, I caught pneumonia like the first 2 weeks of school, right? And I was heavy set like my whole life, and I lost a bunch of weight. And I just posted a Throwback Thursday picture. Some girl sent me from high school. I was thinned out. That was right after pneumonia, so I was like turtleneck, like Zach Morris style clothes, like all the time. Like I revamped my whole stocks. I lost all this weight. I was ever got into breakdancing, and then I saw like the female attention that you get when you're a good dancer. So I was like, yeah, man. So this Michael Jackson these concerts I used to do for my family was going to pay off, right? So I started breakdancing all the time, getting all these hot chicks, and I was like, this is awesome. I was like, why? I see why people do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know, man. It was like the boy band thing was such a hot, that time period of music was so cool. Like you had all the alt rock that was killing it for their pop.
EP6 and all.
Yeah, that era, like the Third Eye Blind. And you had like all that era, like, you know, like the pop punk stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
You had the hip hop, which was all hitting, and then you also had R&B that was all hitting. And
yeah, it was a good time for music.
Yeah, so like. And there was the TRL era, which was like every single day you could turn on your TV after school and you would see like a live host like Carson Daly, like have a guest on, and like at that time, like, you know, those boy bands were like the top of the world, like you couldn't tell them shit. So like to get like a morsel of that type of attention, again, like I remember feeling like not the lowest on the totem pole when it came to like popularity, but I also wasn't the top. And at high school, I would get put in a circle with like this one other dude who moved from Vegas only in our sophomore year, who was comfortable enough to even like be dancing. So like I'd get shoved in the middle of the floor, even from upperclassmen. I remember doing it at an upperclassman prom, when like the upperclassmen girls were like asking me to dance. Dude, I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is from a weird, like, you're underclassmen, you're 10th grade or and like to have like older girls like giving you attention, like that, it's like beyond like anything you could ever dream of, because you're just like want to feel fit in. And so that kind of, I think, just fueled like the need to, or the want to do it more, and like it just sparks something in you. Like I feel included, and like it's a mental health thing too. I think that I look back now, like I could have seen like just floating through high school. I mean, I played sports. I played baseball and ice hockey, so I had that. So and my dad was a 3-star athlete at the, like 3-sport athlete at the
Papa
school.
Scoot.
Yeah. So shout out to him. Love that dude. So
same.
You know, but that was just something else.
Yeah.
It was like, dude, it's crazy. Like,
so since you mentioned baseball, you played baseball. What's it like, you know, playing baseball for your whole life, and now you're DJing, one of the DJs for the Phillies?
It's surreal. I gotta tell you, man, it's my grandfather, my grandmother were huge Phillies fans, and I just grew up. You know, they watch it all the time. They read the box scores in the newspaper. My grandfather was sit in the same chair, read the newspaper every day type of guy. Yeah. I got super. I remember this playoff run that we just had, the one game. I brought a printout of a photo of those two. My grandmother had just passed away a few months before the playoffs. We had watched the game like earlier that season together, like the day she passed away. So it was very emotional. And I remember taking the photo with me to the playoff game. Harper hits that home run.
Yeah, it was insane.
And I couldn't control my emotions. Like I had never felt that before in my entire life, where I was so overtaken with happiness and like adrenaline that my hand was profusely shaking for like 15 minutes after that happened. Like I started crying, and I also, my hand was like, just would not stop shaking. I was holding it out, and it was just like, it was literally.
I remember I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think all of it was just like, it means more than just a job for sure. I love baseball. I miss just being around a ballpark again. It like reawakened that like childhood nature in me, and I just, every time I go there now, I just want to like grab my glove and walk out in the field and have a catch. Like it's just like I can't help but want to do that.
I would love to just take BP with the team once.
Yeah.
I would love that. Just to see if I could hit it.
I mean, I'd go out there and shag balls for batting practice. I just want to like long toss in the outfield. It just reminds me so much of like school and like that time, like, and I just miss it. Like, especially the way that grass is cut, it's like a putting green.
Yeah.
Like I never played on a field that nice.
Yeah.
It's so flat. Like I just want to do that.
Like, I would love to. I would love for that to happen. To be honest, I would love just to step on that field because I was on the field when it was veterans when it was the vet. I was on the field then. I went to a fireworks game and they let all the fans on the field and I like laid in center field and watched the fireworks with a bunch of my friends from I think it was like middle school or something, but. So like that back then they let anybody on the field. Now they don't let anybody on that thing. You see how it is now. Like they have ropes you can't even step over. Even the during BP because we do batting practice for people that don't know. We DJ for the Phillies for batting practice. They have ropes. Like even press can't even step past a certain point.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know. I definitely I'll put a bug in someone's ear like before the end of the season. I'd love to just go out there and just throw. Catch with somebody. Like I don't care who it is. I don't need it to be a player. I don't care if it's the freaking ball boy. I'll pull someone from the stands. Like I just want to throw the ball for like half hour out there. Just like throw it back and forth. Nothing. Not run around and be an idiot. Like I just want to throw the ball. Like it's a cool feeling, man. Like it's just being around a ballpark it's electric this year. Like they've done so many improvements.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
And Trey Turner is playing out of his mind right now. Like he's hitting home runs like it's ridiculous.
Nothing. He had one right out of the minor league ball club.
He had one yesterday too.
Yeah, he's really shagging. He's really hitting them. And I'm actually intrigued for batting practice now because like this, I don't know if he takes private BP or not, but it'd be cool to like see what he vibes to because now. With Reese being out, we kind of knew what he vibed to. We knew what Schwarber kind of. Like a couple of the guys we kind of know, like what they kind of like, by now. But now with some of the new guys, especially like the Dominicans and stuff, like we have to really figure it out. Like when Camargo was on the team, he would flash me like a B with his hand, and I would know that he wants Bad Bunny. You know what I mean? So like anytime he would look at me, like one time I played BP just for him. He was the only one out there. It was like one of those early games where
no one wanted to take BP.
No one. He was the only one. He was doing infield and then he was batting. I literally played Spanish music for 45 minutes. Like he was in heaven.
Like Ozuna and Bad Bunny.
Yeah, literally Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Annuel. Like I was digging and I was running out. So I was like, I hope he's done soon. Because I have tracks on my computer, but I'm like, oh man, I wonder where actually he is now. He was with the Iron Pigs for a while. I don't know if we released him or what, but I'm excited for this season. Like I'm really excited. Just like I said, we don't really get to interact with the guys too much, but hopefully now that we're on their side, like of the field, like before, for some people don't know, they put us on the visitor side, so like getting to us was kind of a pain. But now we're right when they come out of the tunnel in the dugout. So
like 4 feet away from.
So hopefully they start requesting some songs now. Hopefully they feel comfortable.
Yeah, and I think with me and Nine on that one game that we did, we were standing there, and Brandon Marsh was. He actually made eye contact with us and kind of opened that door and like to interact. And so, I don't know, man. It's like we're a year into this stuff, and I just think like maybe we just need to be a little bit more forward with just be like
to be honest,
say hey, like
to be honest, I think it's gonna be like it's gonna be out. So I go to the same gym, right, and every day I see the same people, and. After so many times, you start saying what's up to these people.
Right.
So I'm assuming that this year, like some of the returning guys, they're going to look at us and be like, what's up? Like they might not know our name. But they might be like, give us a head nod or something like that, where it's going to open up that door. And like once you get cool with the one guy and then this guy, be like, why don't you guys put like a list of songs together? You know what I mean? So we can kind of like play to you guys. You know what I mean? Because now I'm playing it like a club. I'm going up, down, around. I'm playing everything.
Yeah, I always find it too. Like it's a field full of dudes, and so what is so weird about that probably if you're listening you don't really think about. It's like for me when I'm in a public environment, I'm playing mostly. I'm trying to. You're catering to women mostly,
all the time.
So like it's literally flipped on its head. And so I'm always like looking at records, and I'm like, I'm not gonna play Dua Lipa.
Yeah,
like for a bunch.
I feel so weird.
I'm like, and if I do, I'm like, well, this is a popular song, but I'm like, dude, I'm like thinking, and I'm always overthinking every song choice because you're like,
same.
It's a clubhouse full of dudes. Like, I don't want to be the guy to like they turn to you like, yo, why are you playing this? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like I'm always like, okay. Dude, all the records I don't, or the way I don't DJ in public is like complete opposite at the ballpark for the batting practice.
So my first game I ever did, I was one of the first guys. It was like me and Hollywood. We were like the first two dudes. And I think I had the second opening day game, right? So I'm like, fuck, like what do I play? I remember vividly, like my third song, and I started high tempo. I played Elton John, Dua Lipa, Cold Heart.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper points at me and goes like that, and I was like, "All right, I'm good now." My nerves went away, and I just started playing because I'm just playing popular records because everybody's there, press is there, everybody's there, so I'm just trying to do a good job, trying to please everyone. You know what I mean? And I remember Val, our tech girl there, she comes over and she goes, "Yeah, whatever you just did." Like, she's like, everybody loved it. Grounds crew, everybody. She's like, keep doing that. And I was like, all right. So I literally just kept playing it like my open sets at the club. Like,
yeah,
and I do overthink some songs, like kind of like you were saying, like if they're too girly or something like that.
Well, yeah, I was like, dude, I would have probably been like Elton John and Dua Lipa. I probably wouldn't have, just because I'm like, I don't like. What if they were like, dude, like look at me this side eye, like.
Nah, Bryce gave me the thumbs up. I was like, well, you hear his walk up songs, right? His walk up songs are like Nelly and stuff, so he's kind of like I kind of want to know what he listens to on a regular basis, you know what I mean? And like I think personally, like me and you would get along with Reese Hoskins. He's a sneakerhead, and he's like, his music, his favorite song is, I saw it on TikTok, his favorite song is I Miss You by Blink-182. The Phillies,
but that's also like, that's to me, I'm like, okay, it's a dude group, like, okay,
yeah, but it's like that's a kind of a sad song. So I had it in my head. I had two friends made a club remix of it that I play all the time. I was gonna play it at BP, but now it's not going to be there. I was like, I had to play it. I was going to play that.
I mean, like that list that the players made on Spotify last year, which kind of sparked the whole dancing on my own thing.
Yeah.
That was interesting because it definitely made me feel like I can play some other records. But
yeah, for sure.
Until that point, I was like, well, like, you going to be the dude to like, I mean, it's fine. Like, those guys all seem like laid back, but until that happened, like, and they kind of opened the door, we don't get like, if we all sit in a room for 10 minutes with them and ask them some questions, I would ease all my concerns because we could be like, okay, guys, like,
I'm telling you, this year it's gonna be different. Man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be different, and I think nine's the first to go on next Thursday, and then I go, and then Smooth goes. So we'll have. I think it's gonna be different this year. I think they're gonna see us and they're gonna head nod us and be like, yo.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel way more comfortable this year.
Oh yeah, and now I think we've been doing it for so long. It's like we can kind of get a vibe now because like the guys are kind of lightening up. Like Reese used to be doing the gritty out there and stuff like that, and like the guys are like loosening up, right? So like Garrett Stubbs.
Well, Brandon's cool as hell. Like he talked to us in the World Series that day. He was so nice, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, if half the guys in the clubhouse are remotely this nice, like,
it'd be cool if we got like cool with them enough where they would come to our gigs and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, dang, the freaking Eagles are always out.
Yeah, I know. Like, and that's what's cool about like, when I used to play at Vesper and all these places, like I would get Macklin to come out and like Fletch would come out. Like football players, I feel like are out all the time. Basketball players, you never really see baseball players, but
no
Flyers,
hockey players out because that's because they're shit. But
yeah, Flyers. A couple of the Flyers were at Barstool when I was there.
Yeah, and I remember at Barstool there was like a couple months ago this year. There was a Saturday I played, and a bunch of the Eagles players were there, and then I was there on a Thursday hanging out within that same week, and Tyrese Maxey came with a bunch of the Sixers people and like the crew and some of the cheerleaders and stuff, and then the dance team and the host like Christian Crosby.
Yeah.
And
shout out to him. He's popping.
And then they said that the hockey team came in like a day later when I wasn't there. I heard from the staff. And annihilated like an entire bottle. Like it was like 10 of them. They just came in and like they hung out for a couple hours and just like had a good time. And I was like, that's cool, but I don't see the baseball players out.
No, ever.
I haven't.
But the schedule is a lot different for them. They're playing like 7 days in a row, then they're flying somewhere. So I think the baseball schedule is a little bit more. It's not as lenient, I guess, as football players and stuff. Cause like football.
And
players.
I think that I'm trying to think on the team just off the top of my head. I feel like a bunch of those guys have families already, or like have fresh. Like, Trey just had another baby, so
you won't see him out.
Yeah.
But it'd still be cool, I guess, if it's one of their birthdays or something, and they get a squad together and pull.
You would think they'd want to go out for a beer, like just on some dude stuff, like just like, and like Barstool's perfect for that. Like it's just weird. Like I don't know, maybe. Again, like...
Well, now that they know us, maybe they'll, start investing in some, like, looking us up and seeing, like, what we do. You know what I mean? Yeah. That'd be cool. But, so, we're chugging along here. So, you also said you played ice hockey growing up.
Yeah.
What sparked that, and why'd you stop?
Again, I owe this to my dad. So at age 5, he took me. So we lived in Hershey, and my parents still live there now. So shout out to them. Chocolate Avenue for life. So
is that really your street name?
Yeah, it really pissed me off because I held on to my ID even though I didn't live at that address. The whole time I was living in Philly, I never changed my address on my driver's license until I moved into Delaware because I just liked it. It was cool. Like it was a conversation piece. Like everyone who called me, every company, like your car insurance company, whatever, they're like, "Do you really live like in Hershey, Pennsylvania on Chocolate Avenue?" They all thought it was fake. So I was like, it was just cool. So we lived right 5 minutes away from Hershey Park, like not even 5 minutes. And so I
haven't been there in years.
Season passes growing up to that, and the Hershey Bears, which is a AHL hockey team.
Yeah,
it's one step below the NHL.
They're for the Bruins, right? Or no?
No, not they're Washington Capitals right now.
Capitals. Okay.
Yeah, but they were Flyers at one point, and then they were Colorado Avalanche for a while when I was growing up, and then.
So you were an Avs fan growing up?
No, not really. I liked the goaltender, but it was just more like they've been with Washington now for a while, so. I was just my parents had season tickets Hershey Bears from the time I could ever remember. And they had those tickets for most of my life. Like, and even when I don't remember when they stopped buying those tickets, but I was well into my adolescence. Like,
would they go in the games without you? Like when they had the tickets, they were just going because they like hockey.
Yeah, my parents my dad played hockey growing up, and my mom was into sport. Like she liked hockey too. Like, and it was just that old arena, Hershey Park Arena. It's still standing. It was very intimate. Like the seats were. You're kind of on top of the arena, like on top of the ice there. And it was a very old building. I think it was built in like 1920 or something originally.
Snap, yeah.
But it was just a great place to watch hockey. It was loud as hell. There was like people that sat in specific season ticket seats for so many years. And my parents were friends with them just because they knew the seat locations for all those years. So it was like a hockey family. Yeah. So when I was 5, my dad used to take me for general general skate, like learning, and it was like figure skaters, everybody. So he took me at 5 years old and would just take me every Saturday morning over to Hershey Park Arena, and he just taught me how to skate. And then I just was in hockey clinics like my whole life growing up. And then in middle school, we got a club middle school hockey team my 6th grade year, which was the first year I was in middle school, and I played and we were really good. But I think it's because hockey's just ingrained in the culture in Hershey because of the professional team there, and people are just interested in it. But by proximity of the team, like as a kid, what do kids like to do? Like activities and go to the park, and like just being close to like a professional sports team. I think it just puts that little seed in kids' head. Like so it was like hockey was like popular, and we were really good. We won championship I think every year in middle school, and 2 of 4 I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. And by high school, it had become like PIAA. It was still a club sport, but like it was recognized by PIAA in Pennsylvania. And like we would draw crowds like on Friday or Saturday nights. Like it was like a football game. Like, so you would get rival schools. Like it was packed. So it was a cool thing, man. It was like,
were you, what position you play?
Left wing or center. But then in high school, I was playing wing, and a kid I played on my line, which is insane to me, still plays in NHL right now. Yeah, Nick Foligno. So he's been on Columbus Blue Jackets. I think he's with Ottawa right now. But kid played on my line. He was an underclassman. He was a year before me, but his dad played professional hockey. He played for Hershey at one point. So it was just a very hockey rich area, and lacrosse, soccer, field hockey were all real. We were as a school, our high school, we were all like, really good. Our field hockey team won championship, I think, 2 out of 4 years too that I was in high school.
Have you ever seen your line mate like out in person since he's been in the NHL?
No, I haven't. I mean, we're still Facebook friends and Instagram friends. I think we sent some message, but his sister, like, I was really cool with his older sister. In school, he had a few siblings, and like a kid. Excuse me. I played ice hockey with a kid. Two older brothers of this girl. She sat right behind me in homeroom. She's now a super famous comedian.
Really?
Yeah, Michelle.
Hershey be breeding professional athletes and actors.
Michelle Wolf. She sat because my name is Willard, so she sat right behind me in homeroom. Redheaded girl, but she's now on tour with like Chappelle and like Chris Rock. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. She has Netflix specials and everything. Like,
damn.
Yeah. And she sat right behind me in homeroom.
Hershey be breeding some people.
It's weird.
Yeah. We got to go to Hershey Park this summer. I haven't been there.
Dude, it's nuts. And they have a new roller coaster again this year that they're redoing. Lightning Racer, the wooden one. They're redoing it.
Yeah, me, you, and Eddie. We're gonna go because Eddie's a big roller coaster guy too.
They have Hershey Park is ridiculous now. It's nothing. No joke. Yeah.
Damn. What? I gotta go. That's it. I'm going. So, one more thing I want to touch on is kind of like what you're doing with sneakers now. You're kind of re-imaging sneaks.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I just I'm bored. Well, not.
I don't see when you have time to be bored.
No, not bored. But my mind is never
turns off.
Yeah, it never turns off. So like
he made a custom. Just so it wasn't really that custom, but he put my name on a pair of golf cleats for me.
Yeah, and so creatively, like I'm always making like one-off T-shirts for myself. Like I bought a T-shirt press and like I was gifted a silhouette machine a couple years ago for Christmas, and so I was like, if I have a T-shirt idea, like I made my St. Patrick's Day T-shirt like that I wore a couple weeks ago. Like my mind's always creating ideas, and I'm like, I want to be able to make them without relying on other people.
Yeah.
So I've always been buying tools to make that happen. So like I just am creative. Like on Photoshop, I taught myself Photoshop like 15 years ago, whatever. Like,
yeah.
And so sneakers are just like an extension of that. Like I want to have a pair of shoes that nobody else has, and like the jacket I'm wearing, like I hand painted the back of it. Like I don't know, I'm just a weirdo that way. Like my mind just wants to like express itself, I guess. So yeah. Sneakers are just an extension of that, and I think that I've made custom Phillies, I made a bunch of custom Eagle sneakers for myself. I'm making a pair for Jazzy Jeff right now, Eagles.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So
check that out.
Yeah, he saw some photos of some stuff, and then his boy, his MC, saw me at the Scratch Bastard barbecue last time I was in Philly, and we talked about it. And then I don't know, just like he's Philly through and through, and he's a legend. So I'm happy to like.
Are you charging him?
Yeah, of course. He's like, just let me know whatever it is. Like, so
he's got the bread. So
yeah.
Are you on texting terms with Jazzy Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the pandemic, like when I was like buying Xbox and PlayStations because I was like not sure if I was gonna ever have like substantial income again. Like I definitely talked to him
when you were flipping stuff.
His kid wanted an Xbox, so helped with that. There's just, I don't know, like he's a really good dude. He lives in Delaware as well. I'm like right on the Delaware PA line, so I think like. I don't know. He's a really down to earth dude. So like he's a legend. Like to be honest with you, like still humbled to be even like say that I even remotely know the guy in like in any capacity. And
I'm surprised he remembered my name when I saw him. So I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I don't ever let that get lost. Like all this little stuff we talked about earlier. I just think like all those hours that you spent in my mom's basement and my dad's basement, like. This is where it's gotten you, and I'm just really grateful for that. So if I can extend my own love for like creating sneakers for people,
and just to dive into that real quick, like because like I've seen you for the people on YouTube, they might not be able to see the top, but like the Jordan 3, you got like a custom back tab and put the new back tab on. So you're like fully taking shoes apart and customizing as well.
And I bought a sewing machine like I think like a year and a half ago.
Like you made your own Travis Scotts.
Right. So I'm taking leather and like cutting the swoosh by hand with a X-Acto knife. And then I'm painting on it, maybe the swoosh and like sewing it onto the shoe. It's like, sometimes I'm taking tongues off and stuff, which is like very elaborate. And so that's like painstaking and I didn't know how to use a sewing machine either. Like I had to figure that out. Like I was on YouTube, like on Singer's website, like how do you thread the needle? How do you wind the bobbin? Like all this shit. And I was like, what the hell is a bobbin? I was like, I didn't know anything, but I was like, I need to learn this shit because this is part of the actual like craft of hand making shoes, like shoemakers, like from Italy, like there's history and the hands-on part of it. Like we see sneakers as just like sneakers, but that the craftsmanship goes way back in history. Like, and so just like trying to figure that out. I also took a digital version of a shoemaking class from the shoe surgeon during the pandemic. It was an online class for a couple of days. Because I was
must have been cool.
I was just interested in that. So I'm just trying to learn, and I still don't know everything. Like, but my first pair of shoes that I painted, I remember it was like this white pair of Air Jordans, and I didn't know that you had to like take the top layer glaze off the shoe.
Yeah.
And dude, like the paint was like peeling off within like a week. Like it was just like I was like, what the hell? Like
peeling off like a sticker.
I did all this time to like hand paint it, and it's just like flaking off, and I'm like, I suck. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I ruined a pair of shoes, and like I'm way over my head. I was so like disappointed in myself. I was like,
now you're killing it. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff you've done, and
I put the same level of detail and perfection that I do in my music into the art part of it, and so I'm not gonna like literally like a speck. I'm like, oh, this line is bothering the shit. I'm like down there with like
I'm the same way with certain.
Yeah, so
like when you can't see it, but like these brick walls, like all the stuff that bleeded through.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what, shoes are gonna be covering it. No one's really gonna see it. I'm downstairs. I literally got a paintbrush this wide and ran it down in case for any of the bleeds.
See, like that. Like
this is all hand painted.
Yeah,
these bricks are hand painted. They're textured. Everything's hand done. So like the bleeding through downstairs, I fixed, but up here I didn't. I said screw it.
See, but that type of stuff is from even at an early age. I'm ADHD, but I don't have OCD about things. But that stuff, I'm super OCD about.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like it almost.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It bothers me.
I've I remember making this sketch. I remember as Jessica Simpson. It was good too. I still have it.
I still have it
because she was hot. She was hot. 2001, 2 era. So I took it and put it in a glass frame, and I walked by in the hallway at my parents one day, and I saw this one line that I didn't see, and I took the fucking frame down, took an eraser and fixed this one little line and put it back in the frame because it bothered me that much. It's how it's like ugh, this is gonna.
Yeah. I get like that with certain things. So I definitely feel that, But when I did this wall, man, I was like, this room was like pain after pain after pain. It was like the studs aren't in the right spot. So like, if there's spackle or stuff is like it's bad. This wall, there's none of the studs where they're supposed to be. So like it was like the worst.
That's old houses, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah. This house was flipped. So when it was flipped, the stairs used to come up the middle. So they had to revamp the whole entire upstairs. So none of the correct way of building was done, and that's what
they're usually 16 inches apart.
They weren't here. I was like guessing. I had to get a stud finder and try to figure it out, and then some would be 10, some would be 16. It was like all over the place.
Well, that's
hanging that TV was a pain.
I went through that before. That's a shoddy handyman that like come in and like we got it done.
That's why like I just had to pay $5,000 for the leak I had outside because they band-aided a problem 15 years ago to flip the house, and then over time it unband-aided itself and left me with the bill. But before we wrap up, because have you ever heard of Mashi?
No.
That Mashi Customs. He does.
Yeah.
So he does all the customs, and now he has his own shoe. right? So me and him got kind of cool on Instagram. Like not cool. I don't have his number or anything, but I have like 3 of his sneakers that he made, right? And I made reels for him and stuff like that. And he has a plain one that he came out with, all white, so you can do whatever you want with it. I was like,
on purpose?
Yeah. I was like, Mosh, what would you charge me to make me a Phillies version? So with the shoe,
he's gonna paint it.
Yeah, he's gonna make me my own one-off Phillies one. Guess how much it's gonna cost me though? I can't actually. No, I'm not allowed to reveal the price. I'll reveal the price to you off camera, but he's gonna make me a one-off Phillies custom. One-off. Don't tell me the price. I
can't guess.
You get off air because I promised him I wouldn't say how much it would cost. But actually, yeah, you can guess, but I just won't tell you if it's right.
You can say higher or lower.
I'll say higher or lower. Yeah.
Okay, 1,500.
It's lower.
Okay.
Yeah, he's hooking it up though, and like I told him I was like I won't tell anybody. I just like it's the shoes are included, so I was like all right, cool, because his shoes are $300 a pop. Yeah. Like you ever see my Freddy Krueger ones?
Yeah.
They're lit. Like, and I have his like what does, and I have his they're called like off road or something really cool. But he's doing something cool for me for the Phillies. I can't wait for you to see him. You definitely gonna appreciate.
Yeah, I want to do a Phillies pair this year with maroon and blue because it's such a unique shade. It's a powder blue and that maroon. I was going through my shoes and I'm like,
because I wanted to get the SBs, but I was like, everybody's kind of got them now, so I want to do something cool.
And they're all that blue is not. I want to do more like maroon gray with a hint of the blue because the uniforms, like the maroon is smaller and the blue is so dominating. So if you're wearing powder blue on top that's almost all blue and then an all blue shoe, I just feel like it's so much of that one color. Like I want to do less of the blue and more of the maroon and gray. Maybe
we're definitely gonna link up because I for my maroon jersey now I wear white Hirachis with maroon laces, so it's an all white Hirachi. So if you want to do something cool with them, I was giving them to you. You can do something cool.
Yeah, that's one shoe this year. I'm like, all right, like I have a shoe laying around. I'm like, I want to do something that'll fit that color scheme for the Phillies because they wear them on Thursday. So
yeah, so that's the thing. I really haven't got. I don't really do Thursday games, which you know what I mean. That's the way the schedule has been falling. Like I volunteer to do Friday and Saturdays because I don't care, like doubling up and stuff like that. And I'm really the only one that can. Like you're traveling.
Most of the weekend games are night though, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'm
this year what'll it be over by what 9:30?
Yeah, I know. I'm hyped.
That's possible.
I could double up now.
Yeah,
which is
for
great.
sure.
Yeah. But I appreciate you filling in for like last minute because you were going to be on in April, but I had a cancellation today, and thanks for showing up. And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I learned a lot about you today, and everyone, thank you for tuning in. Real quick for the people on YouTube, under me you'll have at Talkin with Tonka. That's the Instagram. I don't really post that much, but I'm getting better at it. I promise. I'm really busy. And at DJ Tonka is my personal one. And then we have DJ Scooter at DJ Scooter. And there's no dashes or anything.
Nope.
Right? Nope. Do you have any other Instagrams you want to plug? You have a creative one for your shoes or anything?
No, I need to do that.
Yes, you do need to do that. But check out Scooter on Instagram. And do you have a Mixcloud or anything like that?
Yeah,
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
So I'll put a SoundCloud link in the description for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Again, thank you guys for tuning in to Talkin with Tonka. Episode 12 with my boy Ryan Michael, DJ Scooter. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.